This is a place for planting, for digging, for harvesting, for relaxing. It's a place to get your hands dirty, but most of all, it's about having fun. And that's what you'll always have when you're in the garden with Doug Oster. You want a green thumb too, don't you? We've got another great day for filming. Winter's on the way, but it's not going to be here long. And this time of the year, people have a tendency to stop feeding the birds, but as gardeners, we shouldn't do that. We should continue to keep filling up our feeders. The reason being is that these birds will establish a foraging route looking for their seed. When things get nice and the pests come out into the garden, those birds are going to continue on that foraging route and eat the bugs. They're going to help us garden. The other two things that will help us attract birds is having cover for them and water. The cover is in the form of these evergreens. If you still need to set up a feeder, do it about 10 feet away from the evergreens because the squirrels can't jump 10 feet. And to keep the squirrels off, I just use this old ductwork. It's painted, needs to be repainted, screwed onto the bottom. And of course, water, you can have a bird bath filled up. It's going to freeze and then thaw. All right, we've got some things to show you before we get to work. Well, here's a plant that you should grow. This is a hellebore and just starting to bloom. A little early, but look at the different colors. They're just so beautiful. Now they do look down, and I'll show you a little trick that I do when I have a flower that does look down. Float your flowers. I learned this trick from one of my favorite gardens, which is Chanticleer near Philadelphia. All right, a couple more things to see. I'm so relieved to see these crocuses popping up that I planted last fall. I thought they would be the same variety as the ones that bloomed a couple weeks ago, but they're not. I need to figure that out. But I'm glad that the critters didn't get them and they're starting to bloom, and there's nothing like crocus blooms. All right, we got to get to work. Well, here we have a rhododendron that's gotten leggy, and it's kind of fallen over onto this Japanese pieris, which is just about to bloom. And this is a very simple trick. I learned it from the National Arboretum, and if it's good enough for the National Arboretum, it's certainly good enough for this garden. And I've got a healthy stick from the woods with a V in it, and I'm just going to use it to support this branch, get it up a little higher. Perfect. And then later in the season, after it's bloomed, I'm going to trim it back and see if I can get it to be a little bit better growth, not so tall and leggy. And if you look over there, you can see a Japanese pieris in the sun that's in full bloom, and they smell like honeysuckle, which is wonderful. All right, meet me in the greenhouse. It was getting a little brisk out there, 70 degrees in here, which is lovely. Now, it's too early to start our seeds for things like tomatoes or peppers, but if you're itching to get going, you can do a technique called surface sowing for little seeds like this portulaca or moss rose. These are dust-like, and the surface sow just means we're not covering them. And so we start with something with drainage like this flat. You could use anything. The trick is to get your nice planting mix moist before you put the seeds on there. And we're using a commercial, nice fine commercial grade mix, and nothing to it. We're going to take these little seeds and we're just going to sprinkle them on top, and after we do that, we just kind of press them in and they'll be ready to go. In my case, I can leave them out here in the greenhouse. In your case, they can go on the windowsill and would be best off, and you can see just a little bit on there. You can't see, I'm sure, but I can see. You just put a little bit on there. They would best grow under strong fluorescent light. If you had a little shop light, you could put them under. But you know what? Got them going on the windowsill, took them outside when the weather was right, you'd be okay. And there will be, seriously, about, I would guess, 10 to 20 in each one of these. I'm trying to do it so that doesn't happen, but I'm not very good at that. I'll thin them out when they get going. And then we're going to have a handful left. There they go. There's your surface sowing. We're just going to kind of push them down on there. They have a nice soil that is, again, moist, so they're going to be happy there. Keep them warm. And then never forget the next step, which is label what you just put in there, because you're not going to remember, especially if you start a bunch of seeds. Portulaca. It's a great plant. Okay. To keep that soil moist, we're just going to cover the whole thing in a dry cleaner bag. And as soon as they sprout, we'll take the bag off and grow them on, and we'll probably take a look at that in just a week or so. We'll see what kind of weather we get out here. All right. Good to have something started. Let's finish up. Would you like to come see me speak at this year's Duquesne Light Home and Garden Show at the Convention Center? All you need to do is log on to everybodygardens.com to find out how to get free tickets. That's also where you can win this great book, The Bee Friendly Garden. Now, until next week, I'm going to pick some more hellebores and float them in water. We'll see you then. Tune in this Friday. Ow. On this week's In the Garden, I'm going to teach you all about the birds and the bees. No, wait, birds and the seeds. And I'll show you how to win this book. Tune in Friday.